Hello and welcome to our presentation. It's called Arriving Where We Started and Knowing for the First Time. And I'm going to leave you to be somewhat intrigued by that title, which we'll explain to you at the end if it doesn't become clear before. And some of you might have already spotted it if you're of a literary bent. My name is Jim Bright and I'm presenting with Liv Pennie today. And we're going to present some exciting data we have evaluating a school career education program that we have developed through Become. And one of the things that interests me about the system and has influenced the thinking and the design of the system has been this idea of disrupted futures and the inherent uncertainty of career development. If you've been following my work over the last 20 or so years, particularly with Robert Pryor, you'll know that we developed a thing called the chaos theory of careers. And we developed that to capture some of what we see are the realities of careers for all of us, including young people. And part of that is disruption and uncertainty, which we believe is inherent in the system. Change is constant. Yes, we've been going through very, very unprecedented or significant change, certainly unprecedented in most people's lifetimes, but it's always been there. And one of the key things that we need to take away from that is we need to encourage people through career education to never stop exploring, to never stop being curious, and to never stop checking out possibilities, reviewing and coming to things with fresh eyes. And we believe that this is something that needs to be built into effective career education for people in schools. I think one of the things that people now agree on, and myself and Robert were writing about this 20 odd years ago, as were a few others, careers are not linear. They don't follow a singular logical path. They tend to be characterized with twists and turns, unpredictable things, setbacks, opportunities. It's far from a straight, planful kind of future. So a lot of the rhetoric we have around careers being linear and planful, and the career education that comes from that, really does need, I believe, and we believe, to be reconsidered.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the time, careers programs, really due to no fault of our own or our best intentions, have to focus on decision time support towards the end of high school without providing that time to think really deeply and explore broadly. So if their ideas about their future are narrowed or distorted, they can remain that way unchallenged. And that's then what the decisions every day and for their future are made on. A student who's never considered the alternatives may feel like a failure if they don't achieve this narrow definition of success that's been defined for them. But they're not a failure. By taking an inquiry-based approach, we can help them develop a full understanding of who they are and how they can be active in designing their future in this constantly changing world of work. An inquiry approach shifts students into the driving seat rather than being passive and waiting for life to start. It prevents us shortcutting this essential thinking part of the process. And we can't teach young people how to think critically and deeply about their future in a rush when major decisions need to be made. We need to give them the time, space, and tools to do this, not at the end as an add-on, or when the system requires us to get a decision out of them. For careers education to be effective, we need to do this work early, often, and integrated. We're going to shift from a model of decision time support, where it's often a scramble for answers towards the end of high school, within whatever limited resources we have, and move them to a system of early, often, and integrated, repeated engagement with their future from those critical upper primary years, which we'll be talking about today, and not focused on a single decision, but on learning the adaptive skills, the inquiry-based skills that they're going to need for their lifetime of learning. So today we're talking about a program that we delivered with the fantastic team at St. Luke's Catholic College in Marsden Park, New South Wales, Australia. It's a 20-hour unit underpinned with the Become tools and resources, a teacher-led program, which is really important to this approach. 180 students in years 5 and 6 took part, which is age 10 to 13. And the way we collected the data was pre and post program surveys, as well as an insights dashboard, which is part of the platform, which collects real-time activity and data. How it worked: we co-designed the program using the existing resources, but contextualizing it and really customizing it to work within that cohort, using the local expertise and the teacher's knowledge of what works in their context. The program itself was rolled out by teachers who know their students best. And the really important part is that the students led their own personal inquiry. As I said, underpinned by Become tools and resources, one part is the student web app, which we'll take you through in a second, curriculum-aligned teaching materials from year 5 to year 10, and the insights dashboard. The program itself structures the learning across 3 learning domains of awareness, aspiration, and agency. And I'm going to give you a quick taster of some of the student work that was done in each of those domains to bring it to life before we dive into the impacts. In the awareness phase, we're obviously talking about awareness of my unique and changing self and the influences that shape me, that deep self-reflection. We're not giving them a survey or telling them the answers. We want them to develop their powers of self-reflection. And awareness of the broad and constantly changing world of work. Now, there's a challenge to this, because everybody has their own field of vision about what's out there and what the possibilities are, where they fit in the world. So what we've set out to do is really overcome this. And how do we open up the whole world of work for every student, no matter who they are or where they are? And that's where the student web app comes in. I'll play a very short video to give you a student view of this experience.
Explore. Once we get in, you'll see the jobs appear and look around, see what you want to do. We're going to go with sports to begin. You see, come into here, there's lots of different sports subjects. There's athletes, competitors, coaches and scouts, umpire, refs, and officials. We're going to go with athletes. Now, on the side, it comes up as a soccer. You can say whether or not you want to do it and why you do or not. I play soccer a lot. Then once you finish this, you can go back to your log. You can see that this is your number 1 on your yes. And yeah, that's how you find it all out. This is subject filter. You can see what ones you want to do and make them your favorite. Food tester, food products tester, food tester. I get to be a food tester. Is that a real job? You get to put them as your top 3. Oh, okay. So then my top, I don't have one of them there, but I'm just going to say, I don't know, surf life saving or casino manager. I'm going to go surf life saving number 2. Room designer number 3 and food tester number 1. Food tester depends what I get to test. I would like to be a 5-star chef dessert tester.
Having opened their eyes to the world of work and all these so many things they didn't know was a thing, they then do a series of other lessons, connecting their skills to multiple job possibilities, really opening their eyes to what's possible. Then they start to understand the biases that are impacting their definition of success and their aspirations. First at a cohort level with this exercise, if our class ran the world, it's assigning their own insights about supply and demand. You know, if our class ran the world, we'd have lots to watch on YouTube, but nothing to eat. Nobody was working in food production. And then they apply that same critical thinking to the biases and influences that are impacting them at a personal level. What's pushing them away or pulling them towards certain types of jobs and careers? For example, the student in their shapeshifter here loves being outside and would love to be a ski instructor, but hates being cold. That's a pull and a push. They feel pressure from their parents to go to university and get a professional career. They recognize the media as a negative influence when stereotypes. Then they move into the aspiration phase. They do deep research into their ideas and refine the things that would make a good role a good fit for them or not. Their log is like a running hypothesis for their future. They choose and visualize themselves in one of these future possibilities and share that vision with their peers and teachers via a business card design. This is the role that excites them the most right now. not forever. And they'll use this in the agency part of the program, where students do career experiments. They design and implement ideas that will help them test out their ideas for their future. They're also mastering the skills and mindset they're going to use many times in their future. So an example, this student had an idea, demolition, was beginning to think in a really, really practical way about what this looks like in practice, whether there was more science and planning to it than just smashing things. This student had worked out that their idea might be at odds with what they know about themselves, i.e. that patience was a challenge, so they tried it out. What they discovered, I learned that it takes a lot of patience, so I have to get better at that, but besides that, I would love the process. Another student was motivated by the love of animals, but began thinking for the first time about the real day-to-day pros and cons of the job. They went out and interviewed a zookeeper about this. If I were a painter, would I get tired after a whole day of painting? What's the physicality of the role? Or how do interior designers ensure they make their clients happy? I love decorating my room, but when there's someone else involved, would that be so much fun? And 50% of those experiments result in a change of plan.
And that, we think, is a very good thing, because what it's showing is that students are taking charge of their futures, and they're learning about themselves and learning how to change plans, sometimes abandon plans, refine plans, is just as important as making a singular plan. And of course, this is where most career education programs start and finish. One singular plan, one narrow goal. And in a changing world, we don't think that's really acceptable. So what are the results of the evaluation? And as we said at the beginning, we survey people pre and post. And one of the most rewarding aspects of this is the overwhelming majority, just about everybody, said that they had learned something by engaging with the Become program. For instance, a student said, I learned there is much more to game developing than I knew about. Another one said, I learned that counselors need to be emotionally strong because the job could be quite confronting. And then another one said that there are so much jobs out there and we only look at the ones at the top. And in a sense, that last one, grammatically dubious as it may be, is really what this is about broadening people, about really introducing a wide world of work, not simply narrowing people down and trying to get them prematurely committed to something. Have we broadened their awareness of opportunities? And the answer to that is absolutely they have. Initially in our sample, we found over half of the sample, 52%, were aspiring to the top 5 occupations like physicians and surgeons, visual arts, athletes, performing arts, and veterinarians. In fact, we found the concentration of aspiration even more concentrated than the OECD report on this recently. 60% said that during the program, I discovered new career possibilities that might interest me. And this is really exciting. You can see how student-centered this is. We're not here to impose premature coherence. So when you see in the yes column, special effects makeup artist, and next to that, criminal defense lawyer. Now it's tempting because we're pattern makers to try and see what's the link between this, but we're not trying to shoehorn people into predetermined categories or taxonomies or boxes. We want people to explore and be free to explore and to create and construct their own connections between these things, because that's where creativity comes from. Steve Jobs from Apple said creativity is making the links. So we're not forcing people into boxes. We're not trying to reduce people to stereotypes. Quite the opposite. We're trying to broaden people and trying to encourage those students to be creative and they can develop their own meaning from these things. They don't need us to push them down. Their post-program aspirations were broader. And what you've got on the right-hand side there is a grab from the dashboard that Liv was talking about, which is part of the system. Immensely powerful insights available in real time to teachers, to schools, about what's going on with their students' career learning. To give you one example, we had 20 students pre-program stating they want to become a doctor or a surgeon. That was their number one choice. By the end of the program, that had reduced to 8, and their interests were much more diverse, dispersed, diffused, broader. Have we helped them connect their learning to the future? School engagement is so critically important. Why are they going to school? Firstly, we need to say that these students already, in year 5, 10-year-olds, are thinking actively about their future. So they're already doing this stuff, and this is yet more evidence in a rapidly accumulating database of evidence saying we've got to start this stuff early. We cannot just leave students to kind of thrash around and develop all kinds of partial and inaccurate ideas about the world of work or about themselves. We're really excited when we found this result, that at the end of this process compared to the beginning, we measured this at the beginning and at the end, the students said that they are now talking about their future career and their ideas for what they'd like to do with a teacher or another adult in the school environment. And that's a significant difference and a significant increase in the number of students reporting that pre to post the Become program. So this really is encouraging career conversations to happen in a genuine and deep fashion. And in terms of that school connection that we think is absolutely critical, once again, as the result of doing this program, pre versus post, a significant increase of the order of 20% or more, saying that there's more of a connection between what they learn at school and what they're interested in doing in the future. Now, we know that if students can be inherently interested in the subjects that they're being taught and see how it's relevant to what they are thinking about doing in the future, they're going to be an engaged student, and an engaged student is a happier student and a more successful student. So this program is showing really promising results. That is getting that level of engagement going, getting those conversations going. Have students learned the skills and mindset to develop this disruptive future? Well, yes, they appear to. 69%, the overwhelming majority, feel more confident they can take action on their ideas than they could before because of Become. 63%, I'll definitely keep doing things that move me towards my ideas in the future. They are committing to action in the future, and that is critically important. Over half, 58%, now feel more excited and positive than before they had done the Become program. So in summary, our results show that the Become program has increased students' sense of agency, it's increasing their bias towards taking action, and it's increased the student's sense of optimism. And we're really excited with these results because they really do suggest that getting in early with students can have some quite profound impacts.
And I think the other challenge is, we've seen the evidence now, we're starting to build a really robust evidence base. And this really helps when we're talking to schools. We know that it's going to be a challenge. We know schools are busy places, but that this isn't a tomorrow job. There's benefits for both for preparing them for tomorrow, but also for inspiring them for today. And I think that's the key piece of evidence that we've been missing in trying to make this best practice into common practice. So it's a really positive move forward. Back to arriving where we started and knowing for the first time. I think what we know from this is that careers education is not about picking an option from a list. It's about arriving at the future, knowing about yourself, and having increased agency, action, and optimism to get there. It's a way of thinking, a process which will be key to thriving in the future.
So you might be thinking about arriving where we started, knowing for the first time. And we chose this. This is a line from a poem by Thomas Eliot from the 1940s. And it's all about the idea of maintaining curiosity and constantly exploring and looking at things with a fresh view. And I think this is really important in terms of moving forwards. And I think we can look at this reflectively in terms of the careers industry. We want to encourage students to be creative and constantly curious. going forward, and we need to take the career education industry and profession forwards by being creative ourselves. And it's great that we know what works in the past, but it's also important to embrace new approaches. Deviations from the norm are required if we're ever going to have creativity and progress. And we really think that this program is showing some tremendous promise in enhancing career education for students in schools for a disrupted future.